National Home Buyers Month. Welcome back. We are halfway through the 30 days. Welcome to day 15. I am Marva Morris, your Central Jersey Realtor, and today's topic is going to be about closing costs. Closing costs 101. What are they and how can you prepare? Now, if you're not sure what closing costs are, you're not alone, right? Many first-time buyers save for a down payment and then they think, wait, what are all these other costs? And you get to closing. So let's break it down so you won't be caught off guard. So, what are closing costs? Now, these are the various fees and prepaid expenses that come due when you close on the purchase of your home. So think of it as the cost of doing business for the home sale. Now, they typically range from about 2% to 5% of the purchase price. So on a $300,000 home, that could be around $6,000 to $15,000 in closing costs. I know that's a big range, but it depends on many factors. So here's what's usually included. So you have your loan origination fees. Now that's what the lender charges to set up your loan for processing and underwriting and all those things they do behind the scene. And then we have the appraisal, which I think we talked about on day 13. Usually that's about $500 for that. Then you have your homeowner's insurance. Now you typically prepay the first year of insurance at closing. So if your annual home insurance is, say, $1,200, that gets paid right now. Then you have property taxes. Now in New Jersey, yes, our property taxes are high, and you need to prepay some months of taxes at closing. Plus any that the seller already prepaid, you got to reimburse them for. So let's see, for example, if we close in June, you might pay taxes for July, August, and September upfront into escrow. Now that can be a big chunk, but remember, it's your taxes just paid upfront. Then we have title insurance and title fees. Now, a title company does a little search to make sure the seller actually owns the home and there are no liens. Trust me, you're going to want that. So you're going to buy title insurance policy to protect you and the lender in case something was missed. Now, this is usually a fairly significant fee. New Jersey title insurance on a $300,000 house can be a couple $1,000s, so you need to budget for that too. Then we have our attorney fees. In New Jersey, many buyers hire a real estate attorney, which I recommend. Now, they're going to charge you perhaps between $1,000 to $2,000 as a flat fee for their services. It varies by attorney, but this is going to be a part of the closing costs because you don't pay them until closing. Now then you have your state, your local transfer taxes. New Jersey has a real estate transfer fee. The seller mostly pays that in New Jersey. You might pay a small portion if it's new construction or if you're a foreign buyer, which is rare, but there's also a recording fee to register the deed. Now, some municipalities have their own small fees, right? Now, we have the miscellaneous fees. Wouldn't be New Jersey or anybody if you didn't have fees that kicked in. Things like a survey fee. So if a survey is needed, you need to pay for that. Flood certification fee, that usually is to check if the property is in a flood zone. And maybe a small fee for termite inspection if that wasn't included in your inspection. Now, here's some of the things that you're going to need to do to prepare. Ask your lender for a loan estimate of closing costs when you start out. Now, they can provide this after you apply. It itemizes all of these costs, but it's an estimate, but it makes it a great planning tool because you can start to get ready for this. Now, you can sometimes negotiate to have the seller pay some closing costs. This is called a seller's concession. So, for instance, we might make an offer of $305,000 on a house, but ask the seller to give us back $5,000 to go towards your closing costs. So this effectively finances the closing costs into your loan. It's more common in a buyer's market, but in a hot seller's market, sellers might not agree to do this, but it's an option to discuss. And we're like still in a warm seller's market, especially depending on where you are. Now, some loan programs or local New Jersey programs might help with closing costs too. For example, the NJHMFA's assistance, which we talked about earlier this month, could cover closing costs if there's leftover money after your down payment. Now, if cash is tight, you need to prioritize. You need at least the down payment, and then you need some reserves. Reserves would be a couple of months of payments, right? Now, if closing costs are a hurdle, let's talk about strategies like asking for seller's help or maybe a lender credit where you get a slightly higher interest rate in exchange for lower upfront costs. Now, don't forget, post-closing. After you close, you're going to want to have a little cushion for moving expenses, any minor repairs that you want to do, or furniture, important. So budget your savings accordingly. Try not to max out every single dollar on closing day, right? You want to have some money in the bank. Now, I know this is one of the least fun parts about buying a home. Nobody enjoys paying fees, but knowledge is power. So if you know what to expect, you can plan for it, and it's not going to derail your home ownership plans. Now, I'm going to make sure you have a clear estimate of your closing costs well in advance. We're going to do that with our lenders. This way we have no nasty surprises. Boo, right? As always, if you have questions about specific closing fees or you need help deciphering your loan estimate, you can call or text me. My number is 609-468-6324. Now, I've reviewed tons of these things and I can help explain any line item, or we can reach out to your lender. Now, also, as normal, if you want to get my book, just reach out to me and I will give you a free guide. So tomorrow for day 17, we're going to talk about protecting your new home with insurance and maybe a warranty. Once again, I am Marva Morris, and I am your Central Jersey Realtor, moving you forward. Have an awesome and amazing day, and happy National Home Buyers Month.